Thank you for coming all the way to Seoul to discuss Hallyu. And thanks for exchanging ideas and opinions for today's. As there are 3 tracks, we couldn't attend all the sessions, but I would like to know your opinions on the 9th Congress as a whole to conclude. So, who starts? Vincenzo?
Why not?
Okay.
Okay, of course, I would like to thank you again for giving us the opportunity to be here and to share such an interesting Congress. This Congress is give us the idea of what Hallyu is today. So with such a variety of topics, of disciplines, is really a global phenomenon. Of course, it conveys people from a lot of different countries, which is very interesting for us to better understand this. Maybe in the future, I think we should linger on something that it's still lacking. Because maybe we have a too naive idea of what globalization is or is working. We have the idea, following Apadorai or other great authors, that globalization is all about interconnection, is all about transmission, circulation, and Hallyu is, of course, an example, a good example of this. But we are missing maybe the most important thing. There's globalization is also a competition, and globalization is a global arena. So maybe we should linger on a point on the role of the soft power in this competition. Not only for the national branding, we know this. We know that Korean soft power or sweet power, as Sylvie invented this word, we invent together, but she does it better than me. And it's not only a sweet power to improve the attractiveness of South Korea. It's also another thing. We should maybe linger on the influence that this soft power can give to Korea. Because we are living in a very difficult times. I think that we are at war times. And the conflicts between nations are becoming very, very spread. So we should address this major question and see to what extent the cultural production is not only giving resources to Korea for its attractiveness, but also for another thing. Why? Because when Huntington invented the idea of the clash of civilization, he missed a point that, of course, in the globalization, countries, they are trying to build alliances. But these alliances for Huntington was based on civilization, which is not completely true. Look at the connection between Israel and South Korea. It's not based on civilization. It's based on a new connection made thanks to cultural products, diplomacy, and other resources. So I think that we should also address this point, because otherwise we don't understand to what extent today cultural production is also a tool for not making war, of course, but we forget that soft power is a strong power.
Thank you. Maybe?
Okay. Thank you again for having us, because it's a pleasure to be here and to discuss with all those great scholars the topic we have in common, which is Hallyu success. I will probably follow the path that Vincenzo has proposed us, and further this discussion about what is soft power and the comparison between soft power and hard power. It seems to me that the culturalization of our everyday lives and the fact that more and more people consume culture on a regular basis and a big amount of culture, and that culture is really, and cultural consumption especially, is really taking a tremendous part in our way of defending ourselves and redefining ourselves all the time. Redefining the process is almost also important as the defining process here. And maybe soft power is not that soft anymore. And maybe the cultural transformation and cultural consumption takes part in the structure of what shapes our life as the economics or the military power or other powers that were more immediately defined as art power. I'm thinking maybe we should think on the blurring line between hard and soft and invent maybe new terms to define what's hard in the soft and what's soft in the hard, with no joke here. And that could be a way of reinventing what is at stake in Hallyu and what Hallyu can teach us about the shifting of our current world.
Thank you. No? Mr. Che? Yes, Professor Che.
Well, I have some comments on this conference. As a sociologist, I would like to have some comments on Hallyu phenomena and Korean society's characteristic. As we all know, that South Korea has been through very tough days in 20 countries. With Japanese colonization, Korean War, always under the influence of the United States culture. And we were even divided into countries. And we were one of the most poor countries in the world in 1950s. So, yeah, fortunately, we have succeeded in economic growth since 1970s. But still, in South Koreans' mind, there still exists a kind of relative inferiority, especially to Western countries, people, or Western people culture. So with the Hallyu, something changes. For the first time in their life that they are now recognized, especially by European or American people. So that is one point that the South Koreans, they feel that, oh, okay, so we are not, the poor or underdeveloped country anymore. So it is kind of a social capital role of Hallyu. So that is one of my comments.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for the invitation, and sorry for my English. So it was really interesting to meet all these people from the world, and from academic world and on DC world. It was really interesting to exchange. We see the Hallyu, it's very expensive, and we see the virtual world will be really interesting to see how it will be evolved in the future. And it will be really interesting to see how all the case, like, how can I say it? How it will fill the materialistic world with all the in the Hallyu pop cultures, like K-drama, K-movie, K-games, and all these cases. And that's sorry. And it's very interesting, very important to see how in the future we'll see other way to develop the Hallyu in the new world.
So you asked our impressions of these 2 days, and for me, I'm left with, as I often am when I attend an international conference like this, but this one in particular, as both depressed and uplifted. And in the depressed side is the recognition of how much I don't know and how much I will never know. And because of the amount of research and exploration that I would need to do in order to begin to have the kind of full grasp of this issue that I would like to have from so many different perspectives and so many different parts of the world. The uplift side is that there are people who are doing, spending many, many hours doing interesting research, and I can have access, and sort of I've learned so much in these past 2 days about the doorways into access of some of that research. And I think the session I did with our scholars who came from Israel in this research project that they are doing, that I can't even imagine the number of hours that you put into the collection of data and putting those data together. And it's so about news and how Korea is situated in news cycles and how fascinating that is and how useful it is. These kinds of things. So that's the uplift side.
Thank you for your kind words. Yes, maybe are there any questions from the audience? We have 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, so yes?
개인적으로 저 샘 리처드 교수님 팬인데요. 제가 유튜브에서 교수님 그 강의하시는 이런 내용들 같은 거 보면서 사실 굉장히 깜짝 놀랐습니다. 왜냐하면 제가 사실은 그 BTS라고 하는 이 보이그룹이잖아요. 처음 이렇게 등장을 했을 때 라디오에서 굉장히 간단하게 인터뷰하는 거를 제가 우연치 않게 들었거든요. 근데 사실 BTS라고 하지만 그게 원래 한국말 이름으로는 방탄소년단이에요. 근데 이 방탄이라고 하는 것이 어떤 의미를 가지고 있는지는 제가 잘 모르겠지만 그냥 방탄이라고 하는 단어 자체에서 우리가 느낄 수 있는 거는 총알을 막는 이런 의미를 가지고 있거든요. 그래서 그 그룹 이름을 딱 들었을 때 이렇게 뭐라고 할까, 보통 보이그룹이든 걸그룹이든 만들 때는 굉장히 영어나 외국어를 이렇게 차용을 해서 그룹 이름을 만드는데 이 팀은 그렇지 않아서 그게 굉장히 특이하다라고 생각을 했었거든요. 근데 그리고 나서 시간이 지나고 나서 이제 교수님 유튜브 클립에서 방탄소년단을 언급하시는 걸 보고 이 교수님이 이 그룹을 어떻게 아셨지? 사실 저는 제 나이도 있고 이러니까 그런 보이그룹 같은 데 관심이 전혀 없단 말이에요. 근데 이거를 미국에 계신 교수님이 어떻게 이런 그룹이 미국에 상륙을 해서 인기를 얻게 될 거고 앞으로 학생들이 너희들이 얘네들을 모르고서는 이제는 졸업을 못할 거다 이렇게까지 말씀을 하실 만큼 이 그룹에 대해서 관심을 갖게 되신 건지 그게 개인적으로 굉장히 궁금하더라고요. 그래서 그 비디오 클립에서도 테일러 스위프트의 그 뮤직비디오하고 조회수를 막 언급을 하시면서 굉장히 자세히 이 그룹에 대해서도 알고 계시고 그래서 그런 관심이 그 이전부터 한국 문화에 대한 관심이 있었던 연장선상에서 그런 그 보이그룹의 존재를 알게 되신 건지 아니면 어떤 그 보이그룹이 이렇게 되게 아웃스탠딩한 이렇게 되게 큰 실적을 거두게 된 것에서부터 그 그룹에 이렇게 관심을 가지게 되신 건지 굉장히 좀 궁금합니다.
So I am a musician and I am an amateur musicologist. So I listen to music from all over the world, and every day I put a new country in, and I listen to the current music from that country. So I have always followed K-pop, been interested in K-pop for many years. And because I also have been interested in Hallyu, just Korea, I knew that at some point there would be a K-pop band that would really take off in the world. I mean, that, you know, in the way that the Beatles did in the 1960s. And so I was waiting for that band to emerge. And I had my ideas about which one it might be, and I was always wrong. But when I saw that they broke the record from Taylor Swift, that in that moment I said that it's going to be this band. But you need to know that I'm usually wrong about most everything. Yeah, so yesterday I made a prediction that there will be another K-pop band that's going to be bigger than BTS. Yeah, and there will never be another BTS, you know. But the thing is about Korea, and I guess I could say this here, I'm constantly amazed. Just when I think that things might level off, and I think someone said it at a session this morning, when I think things might level off, suddenly things go in another direction again. And I think, how could a band be bigger than BTS? But it will be very different. But, you know, I think that I think this conference in 10 years could also be very different and talking about some very different things. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Che, yes.
2 minutes. Thank you. So I'm one of the person who became the Professor Richard's fan. Yeah, I became yesterday. It means that for 2 days we were talking a lot about Hallyu phenomenon, especially occurring in France. But if you analyze in detail the data about Hallyu phenomenon, which is occurring in France, is just a tide. And Professor Richard mentioned about the tsunami yesterday. So if you go to Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok or Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia, from the airport and to the city center, you can find everywhere Hallyu. But it means that it can have a very negative effect. So maybe next week I will have a meeting with some professors and some government officials in Thailand. So they were worrying about Korean invasion, just like British invasion mentioned with the Beatles. So they worried about that it is not the cultural exchange, it is the cultural expansion conducted by Korean government. They were very pessimistic. So it is one of the obstacles and the barriers that our ministry has to deal with in future. Yeah.
Thank you. It's almost 4 o'clock. Sam, thank you for wearing our t-shirts. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for our translators. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for your attention, your participations. I would like to see you next year in Paris, okay? And I'm waiting for your suggestions for the theme of 2023. So thank you very much. And we will take the photo, okay? And we will leave for Crafton. Thank you so much. Mr. Shin, please join us for the photo.